in the time of this generation, in the time of this nation, there is never going to be something that men and women of this present 2024 world have ever done that God has not seen already in the past. There's never going to become a time that when there's something that's happening, you're going to be so shocked that you can't find this in word. Yes, there's technology. Yes, there's things new. But then you have to understand that Ecclesiastes said that there's nothing new under the sun. We still can't even build a pyramid that's in Egypt. So there's technology that might be new to us, but there's stuff that's been happening. So I can never look at the word and say that God ain't ready for this. Oh, this is something that has never happened. We have always failed God as a nation. We have always failed God as a people. Though Israel was his firstborn meaning his heir are the ones that's promised to the main people that's going to get the full inheritance. When Israel messed up, according to Romans chapter 11, we were grafted in. From the root is Abraham, which means that's the promise, according to Galatians 3, that now we're both grafted in and we're heirs and joint heirs of Christ. So whatever promise was to Abraham, I have that promise now. But the thing about me having that promise that you got to understand was I was a wicked nation too. I was a wicked people too. This is for somebody who don't understand God. Don't think that just because you came in on the tail end of salvation, you came in on the tail end of Christendom, you came on the tail end of understanding God, that the people that's already in it didn't have something that they went through, or the people that's already in it are better than who you are or what you are or what you're going through. Because the thing is, now we're all people that was lost. And the thing that I really want to read about, Hosea, so you can understand, Israel was the worst. So never think that Israel had promise and they were good and then you failed God. Israel was the worst. Israel's so bad, he was like, I have to cut y'all off and I'm gonna use these Gentiles so y'all can see what God really is. No, don't think that when you see the way the church acts of this generation, you say, I don't want a part of that because how the church is. No, find out how God sees you. And when you find out how God sees you, now God says, I love you despite on what you're doing. I love you despite on what's happening, because now I want you to see who I really am. When you really follow the gospel and figure out what's going on, and I go through this lineage and go through these 42 generations to my son, the Messiah, he's coming back for Israel first. But then still in Isaiah 49:6, he says, no, he's going to come to the ends of the earth for all nations. So for all nations means for all people. John 3:16 saying that for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, saying I want everything according to Matthew 1:21, where Jesus comes into play and John says, here's the lamb that takes away the sins of the world. So now I see that the world is what God been wanting to get to at the start. But it's just he had a select chosen people that he said, if I have a model, if I have an example, Galatians 4:4, at the perfect time I sent my son born of a woman that's under the law, that he can actually change some things. That means that there was a perfect model and plan that once it was there, I can say, now this is how I want Christ to be. Now this is how I want the kingdom to be. Now this is how I want my people to be. So at a certain season, a certain time, not a chronological moment, but a Kairos time, God shifts and says, now I need you to step in and understand who I am for yourself. Stop going by what you see. Stop going by what you found out on social media. Stop going by what you heard somebody else tell you. Sit down and read and find out who God is for yourself. And then on top of that, understand that there's words